first thing that I do, of course, is to put on the skin. And I can tell from the touch already whether the oil is pure or not. Because if it is not good, it's very sticky, doesn't go into your skin. Of course, it doesn't smell good, and it doesn't feel good. And your oil was full of aroma. I wanted to order already when I opened the bottle, being very unscientific, of course. But of course, I didn't do that. So I still tested the rest.
Well, I think it's very good because, I mean, we are really operating the business without that knowledge because we're not opening everybody else's oil. Me personally, I don't test everybody else's oil.
Well, I do. Well,
You do.
I've been trying to source new virgin coconut oil for, I think, over a year, and we have not been able to find any. That goes according to the principle of organically grown, and fair trade. And even if we do not look at these two principles on the market, at least not on the market in Hong Kong that I find, I don't think, well, they're comparable maybe. They can have the silky touch. And then you have to think about the price, and then you have to think about where it's produced, how it is produced. For example, I went into a website which explains how efficiently the product is produced, and my heart really sank when I saw how the workers open the coconuts. He was opening very efficiently, of course. Next one. Next one. Next one. Like a machine. And I was explaining to the customers at the farmers market where I sell my products. I said, these people were working like a machine, and I just cannot stand it because my farmers work like human beings, and the fair trade farmers do have their own life. And as you told me, and you also have really normal human kind of life and not robot kind of life, right? That is also part of the principle behind. And many people many of the Hong Kong customers do not understand what I say because they think efficiency comes first.
Yes.
And I think that poor guy who is doing this has no life at all. When I saw how the plantations were just forests and forests and forests, and the whole company or the whole factory was just like, I don't know, I just don't have a feeling that this is the sort of products that I would like to source. Plus, of course, when I tested that product, it was not a very good standard. So I didn't use that. I didn't source that at all. I didn't even think of doing it, but it was just interesting to watch those videos about how efficiently they were produced. And there was also this Fließband, what do you call it in English? The band that goes on and on. They have to select which one is good, and they were just also working like robots. And it is no good because, like the farmers that I have, the jams that they produce, they can only produce 50 bottles a day. I mean, that is, of course, this is not the best way to explain how fair trade goes, but I think one of the reasons why I support them is because they're too small to really promote themselves. So, and that is why I think when I look for virgin coconut oil, I would also look for something that is helping the small farmers or small communities of farmers. And your products would fall into that category. And back to how I test the oil. All right, so I would take, apart from testing on the skin, I would use it for cooking. And I would take one box, the medium-sized bottle I took, 440 mils, and I put into a not frying pan, but a pot make it into a pot of oil. And this time I fried prawn crackers. I don't know whether you know what prawn crackers are. They become very big.
When I was a little boy, I used to ask my mum to make them all the time because I loved watching them.
Yes, and I love that too. So my neighbor gave me some prawn crackers, and we make them. And normally, after making prawn crackers, you can throw out the oil. And normally, when you make prawn crackers, the whole place smells. or stinks, but you can't smell it, all right? And then I put, after I finished the crackers, I said, the oil still looks good, so we fry some fried chickens. So some bits of fried chicken into it, and then I took away I strained the oil so that it's clear, and then the next day I opened the bottle of oil, which is now light brown in color, no longer transparent, and I smell it, and it was still good. In fact, it was smelling very good because it's cooked oil. And we were using this cooked oil to cook, and it was very good. So
Excellent.
you pass this cooking test. Because if you can use it as a second, how do you call it, a reused oil, that means it can be used for everything
Yes,
else.
and one of the biggest problems with oils is reusing the oil after it's turned into trans fatty acids, not coconut oil, but other oils.
Yes, right.
So what sort of temperature does the
yes,
oil get
that's
to?
very important. I do not know what temperature, because the smoke point for coconut oil I read is 177 versus olive oil 160, so it's slightly higher than olive oil. But it is still not the sort of high temperature that the Chinese people would love to have. So I would advise them to just keep the temperature low. You can achieve the same without having such high temperature. I do not know how high the temperature is. Definitely not over 177, because I never allow smoke to come out. And another trick is, which I always teach my customers, is you don't have to use that much oil, and you can control the temperature by adding water into the oil.
Really?
Yes, it works wonders with things like mushrooms, which need a lot of oil, and aubergine or eggplant. Aubergine and eggplant, they are really nasty. If you cut them up and fry it in oil, the bits that got the oil are very happy, and the bits that don't have oil, they look sour. I mean, sour is a German word. I mean, they look miserable. So I trick them by putting oil and coconut oil, by putting coconut oil and water together, cover the frying pan or wok, and then when it sizzles and steams and blah, 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 like this, I throw the mushroom or the aubergine in, and then fry or scramble them, and every piece will be happy. Because every piece will think, oh, I have got lots of oil. And indeed, every piece will be coated with some bit of oil. Because coconut oil somehow, I think it combines with water more easily than other oils. So you can have a dish of aubergine which has oil, but which is not greasy, because it's not oily, because you didn't put that much oil in the frying pan to start with. So that is how I use it for cooking.